There have been countless individual all-time great players throughout NBA history who have accumulated a number of impressive statistical accomplishments and individual accolades. Many of these players, for whatever reason, have been unable to leverage that individual mastery of the sport into accomplishing the ultimate goal of winning championships. While some may view winning titles as a team achievement, it is undeniably the responsibility of the all-time great players to get their teams over that hump. But what if those players legitimately did not have the requisite amount of supporting casts needed to compete with other all-time great players in their own era? Well, some coward losers would jump team to team, begging one assortment of all-time greats after the next to help them steal, win meaningless rings. Other classy competitors, however, just stay the course and do what they can with what they have. Those players are the most difficult to evaluate at the end of the day. But there must be some means of context provided for these players whose resumes may seem to be otherwise lacking. One such player is arguably the greatest foreign-born player in professional basketball history. Yes, there was Hakeem Olajuwon before him, and there have, as of late, risen to prominence a plethora of dominant international players, such as Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Luka Doncic. But before this current crop of imports was the 7-foot German with the silky smooth skill set of a guard who was a staple and a foundation in the All-Star game for nearly a 15-year span, right in the heart of the 2000s Western Conference, an era that boasted the most difficult and competitive conference in NBA history, and one that had an ample amount of dominant bigs. But just how good was Dirk Nowitzki? If we're looking merely at individual accolades and accomplishments, it is difficult to not put him amongst the very greatest players in NBA history, as Dirk Nowitzki's 12 total All-NBA selections is just below players like Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who had 15 each. Dirk's 12, meanwhile, is the same as players like Hakeem Olajuwon, Jerry West, and Bob Cousy, while it is more than players such as Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, and Wilt Chamberlain. And many might be surprised to find out that Dirk Nowitzki is 6th on the all-time scoring list, below only LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Karl Malone, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan all time. The one and only thing that stops Nowitzki from being included with the likes of these players is his lack of championship success. But is this a viable knock against the Germinator? Dirk Nowitzki was selected with the 9th pick in the 1998 draft by the Milwaukee Bucks before ultimately being traded to Dallas.
With the 9th pick in the 1998 NBA draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Dirk Nowitzki from Würzburg, Germany.
A Dallas team which was, quite frankly, heinous ass at the time he was acquired.
It's garbage!
As the Mavericks were riding an 8-year playoff drought into that 1998 draft, and not only that, they hadn't even been over 500 in that 8-year span. But by Nowitzki's 3rd year in the NBA, the 2000-2001 season, the Mavericks would win 53 games and make the playoffs. It was only the 3rd time Dallas had won at least 50 games in their entire team's history, dating back to 1980. But starting with Dirk's 3rd year in 2000, the Mavericks would go on a streak of 11 consecutive years where they won a minimum of 50 games. And for that 11-year span, ranging from 2000 to 2011, Dirk's aged 22 to 32 seasons. He made an All-NBA team for 11 consecutive years while averaging 24 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists per game, and leading the Mavericks to an average season-end total of 56 wins per year during that 11-year stretch. That is more wins than any other team in the NBA over that span, aside from the San Antonio Spurs. From literally the laughingstock of the NBA and a perennial doormat, the Mavericks became a perennial contender almost immediately upon Dirk's arrival.
With me, without me. With me, without me.
But all of that regular season success, coupled with the individual accolades, never materialized into prolific postseason success. Most notably because he was playing in the greatest conference in NBA history. When he came into the NBA as a 20-year-old in 1998-99, Dirk was dropped immediately into an era that had a young ascending Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan in the same conference. The two of them would combine to win 10 of the next 15 NBA championships, beginning with Dirk's rookie season at 20 and running to his aged 35 season.
Bad timing.
But while Duncan got to play his entire career with an assortment of Hall of Famers, including some combination of David Robinson, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and even Kawhi Leonard, as Kobe Bryant, who had to deal with his own fair share of organizational ineptitude, producing horrible supporting casts throughout a large portion of his career, at least got to play with Shaquille O'Neal for the first 8 years of his 20-year career. The cupboard was substantially barer for Dirk Nowitzki. Nowitzki, in 21 years, never played with more than one other All-Star on a team, and he played with a single All-Star only 6 total times. And 2 of the 6 times were with Michael Finley in 2000 and 2001, when Dirk was just 21 and 22 years old. 2 of the other instances were alongside Steve Nash in 2002 and 2003. So from his aged 25 to 40 seasons in the NBA, Dirk would play with one other All-Star only twice, and that was with Josh Howard in 2007 and 36-year-old Jason Kidd in 2009-2010. And in his entire 21-year career, Dirk would play with only one other player who was named to an All-NBA team, and that was Steve Nash in 2001 and 2002. This is a disgraceful amount of supporting casts within the stacked Western Conference at that time, which did not merely contain 2 historical top 10 players in Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan, but it also had teams over that span like the Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden Oklahoma City Thunder, the Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire Suns, the Yao Ming and Tracy McGrady Rockets, as well as the Carmelo Anthony and Allen Iverson Nuggets. Despite the lack of any viable supporting casts and the inability of his franchise to lure any elite free agents or draft viable pieces in the draft, in 21 years, Nowitzki never whined or begged for help. He never demanded a trade. And in the 2010-2011 postseason, he produced arguably the greatest single-season playoff run in NBA history. The Mavericks first started that postseason off by beating the 48-34 Portland Trail Blazers in the first round. In the second round, they would end Kobe's bid for his second career three-peat, beating a 57-win Lakers team, looking not only for their 3rd straight title, but their 4th consecutive finals appearance. Into the Western Conference Finals, where they would defeat the 55-win Oklahoma City Thunder, boasting a trio of future league MVPs in Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. And all of that before colliding with the juggernaut super team Miami Heat from the Eastern Conference with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Dirk was the only All-Star on his team that season and the second leading scorer for the Mavericks in both the regular season and playoffs was 33-year-old career 0-time All-Star Jason Terry. The Heat were up 2-1 in that series before the Mavericks would come back and win 3 straight to clinch the series in dramatic fashion behind Dirk Nowitzki's dominant individual performance. He may well have had only that one title at the end of the day, But that is more than many can say in this current era of the NBA, where several alleged all-time greats never could get over the hump without team hopping and super team stacking. Nowitzki was class personified throughout his entire career and served as a worthy ambassador for the sport, his country, and his organization. While his impact in taking the stretch four to new heights and helping to revolutionize this growing trend of positionless basketball is still being realized today and will continue to be felt for many years to come. So, how good was Dirk Nowitzki? Likely better than you think.